What up, YouTube? Welcome. Episode number 40 of D&D Sports Chat. We are Chadless tonight, unfortunately. Hope everybody had a nice and happy Thanksgiving.
Chad's got the flu.
Chad has the flu. Hopefully it has nothing to do with his what happened with family at Thanksgiving. I know the flu bug's probably going around a lot.
The weather's just...
Weather changing, going from
down.
30 to 50s to 60s to 20. And it's just like, crazy.
Can you believe it?
Yeah.
It's beautiful out today.
Think about it, just December 1st. Tomorrow's supposed to be like 57. I mean...
It's awesome.
Crazy for December.
Getting up in the morning, you're like, wow, there's no frost on my windshield.
Yeah. Crazy. All right, ready to go?
Let's rock.
Talk shit. Recorded live.
Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to episode number 40 of D&D Sports Chat, coming to you live from the studio here in Garden City, Michigan. It is Wednesday, November 30th, 2016. I am your host, Derek, alongside my co-host, as always, Mr. Dan Bartley. What's up, brother?
Enjoying the beautiful day.
Beautiful day. It's the last day of November.
From the Red Wing Stars last night.
Yeah, not a bad game last night. A little bit more of a different outcome than I think we both predicted.
I did think the Stars were going to wipe the floor with Wings. I'll be the first one.
I think you were saying
it.
like 3-1, 4-1, somewhere around that ballpark there. I mean, it turned out to be a really good game.
It was the Peter Mrazek show.
It was the Peter Mrazek show, and it was also the show of special teams because they really the power play was really spot on. I think they had 2 of their 3 goals were on the power play. I know we'll get to that a little bit later on, but yeah, we're in the last day of November. Hard to believe. The month flew by. December 1st tomorrow. It was almost 60 degrees today. You know,
nice tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this is record-breaking temps by any means, but you know, it's going to be in the mid-50s tomorrow, December 1st. I'm pretty excited. I'm going to be going to that Glory of Christmas show at the Northridge Church opening night, so I'm sure it's going to be hopping. Going to be really busy. Going to be a great show. Go check that out. It's real. I haven't seen it in probably about 10 years. I know you used to go every year. You're pretty fond of it. $20 a person. Tickets are selling out quickly. I know that when I checked, just a few days ago, they actually already had I'd say 90% of it has been sold out.
It seems like it's a very limited engagement, too. It's not a whole lot
2 weeks, yeah. It's only going to be this week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then next Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
So that doesn't give it enough time.
Yeah, 7 o'clock show.
I think you need to have it at least go until the end of December.
Yeah. Well, they do have 2 shows. I think they have a 3 o'clock show on Sundays. So both Sundays they have a 3 and a 7 o'clock show.
Okay.
So they do that. But yeah, I feel like that when I was younger and I went to go see it, it was the whole month of December. Yeah. Every week was a show performance. So they've cut back, but like we said before we went live, that show is all done by volunteers. No one's getting paid. And, I mean, it's quite the spectacular. I mean, I think I'd put it right up there with like the Radio City Rockettes show.
Yeah, I honestly think for your money, you get the whole show. You know, and you got to remember too, these guys are getting paid. So they put on a heck of a performance for, you know, I think it's very well done. It's 2 hours, you get your money's worth, and you feel good going out of there? Yeah,
I think after I'm done with it, I mean, I guess you really see the true meaning of Christmas. I mean, it's kind of broken into all different sorts of storylines, and they got music, they got the story of Jesus and what happened, you know, to make Christmas special and magical. So, for a 2-hour show, $20, I think it's going to be well worth the admission. So, hopefully that'll be something nice to talk about next week. As far as Thanksgiving goes, have a good Thanksgiving?
Yeah, it was a good time. Went up to Frankenmuth, and we did not go to Zender's. We usually go to Zender's.
Yeah, I saw that.
Inn. So it was a little bit of a switch, but I do enjoy Bavarian Inn. I think I still like Zender's just a slight smidge better than Bavarian Inn, but both places are phenomenal. They're both excellent food. Great service. You know, the men and women there, they got to bust their butts probably every single holiday. And
it was packed.
It was
now,
absolutely crazy.
For the first time ever, like I said, this is the first time that I've been to Frankenmuth since 2012 was the last time I got to use my free birthday meal. And I thought ahead this time. I went on and actually made reservations to eat. I went
That's
online.
What we do every year.
You do? Yep. So you walk right in, you tell them your name, and that's what you got to do, because if not, you're going to be waiting in that long line.
For an
that
hour.
line is literally out the door, and I mean, it was packed, and they actually put us in a really nice, cozy corner. Like, we weren't like when you know how you walk through the main room and it's people, kids yelling, all that crap.
And you went to Zender's, correct?
Yeah, we went to Zender's. Okay. Yeah, that's where my free meal is. They're both essentially the same. I think they're owned by the same people.
They are. The one's a little bit more German than the other, I do believe. I think that's what it is.
I think Zender's is probably a little bit more German. Is that?
No, Bavarian Inn's more German.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Now, we used to go to Bavarian Inn back in the day whenever, when we used to go up north to my cabin. I know it was a little bit out of the way, but it was on the way up north. We used to stop in Frankenmuth to have dinner, and we would usually go to Bavarian Inn. We didn't start going to Zender's until later on. So when I was a kid, I was raised on Bavarian Inn, which honestly, I couldn't really remember what it looked like. We did go to the bottom shops. When I sent you those snaps of the beer, that was in the basement of the Bavarian Inn. That wasn't Zender's. So, yeah, I don't know if you guys went down there or not. I think you had said that you didn't see that, the Mortal Kombat.
We did not. I did not see any of the
There was a lot of beer.
I didn't see any of that stuff.
Yeah,
I didn't really look around a whole lot.
When you go through the bakery, you got the bakery, and then you got like the general store where they have all the beers,
when
all
I
the
was
craft
there,
beer.
it was so crowded, and you could not move an inch from the person in front of you. So it was bad enough people were knocking over displays on the shelves and they were breaking. So that's bad enough. So I wasn't moving.
For a Sunday, I mean, it wasn't bad because, I mean, it died out. Like, after dinner, dude, like, we had 5:30 dinner reservations, and after we got out of dinner, like, around 6:30, it was dead. Like, everybody was gone home. I think it's because you guys went on a Thursday.
We went on
Thanksgiving, which you wouldn't assume that many families go there for Thanksgiving, but it is. You would be surprised, and it was pretty busy. So I think going on a Sunday makes it better because I feel like people actually leave Sundays. They probably go up there on a Friday and spend maybe the whole week there, or maybe they arrive on a Sunday.
Go to the Splash Village, go to that whole hotel, spend a few days.
Yeah.
Go shopping at Birch Run, call it a whole weekend there. Yeah,
now when you guys went shopping, I saw your aunt and you were Facebook Living at the Bath and Body Works. Was that at the Birch Run outlets?
Yes.
I thought it was.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. So you didn't really shop in any of the shops in Frankenmuth, or did you?
We went in downstairs of the Bavarian Inn, but that was it. We did do a lot of shopping at Birch Run outlets.
Did you do the River Place? Did you go up to the River Place? Yeah. See, that's where we went.
I have been there.
Oh yeah, it's nice.
I went there for the laser light show, which was really cool, and I've also been there a few other times. But it's neat. But obviously, everybody wants to head to Birch Run, and Birch Run was insane.
Oh, I bet it was. Because when we were coming in from the Birch Run exit, we passed the outlet stores, and of course the girl saw that, and she was like, "Oh yeah, the outlet stores!" Like, and I said, "It's pretty overrated. If it's anything like Tanger outlets, probably not worth it." But no, I mean we pretty much did the entire day. We got there a little after 1 and spent pretty much the whole day there. Did the River Place, did all the little shops along the beat and everything, and then had dinner and went to the Frankenmuth Brewery, which was really good. We had a flight there. I'm sure you saw on Facebook. Really good beers. So yeah, it was a good day trip. And then comes time for the end of the trip, where this is where my little story I had planned for tonight. So we decided to hit Bronner's up on the way out, which is usually what people do there. And when we were about ready to leave, we were outside in the parking lot, and we found a purse that was laying on the ground. And we basically went through hell and high water to try to find out who this purse belonged to. It belonged to a young student in Canton, which was luckily right on the way home. So, I mean, it wasn't like it was somebody from Frankenmuth, but we tried so damn hard to try to find any contact information. We're going through her purse, essentially trying to find her phone number, and there was no go. So we basically drove all the way from Frankenmuth to Canton, stopped at where her address was, and some older grouchy gentleman opened the front door, not knowing what to expect. He's like, "What do you want?" It's like, "Hey, we got this purse here. We're just trying to find out who it belongs to, and it says that she lives here." He's like,
"You think we need to get shot?"
It ain't my wife.
It's going to be quite honest with you.
Oh, I know.
The way this era is, the way this time is.
Yeah, I was expecting, because he had the door open. He had it cracked, and it looked like he was getting ready to probably either open
had
fire.
His 40 right in his pocket.
Yeah. So we were just like, all right, well, instead of trying to play, Madam Detective here, let's just drop this thing off at the police station and let them deal with it. It's out of our possessions. We did the right thing. And lo and behold, by the time we got home,
you're a good citizen.
We got an email back from her, and she got her purse back. So that was, it all ended well. So that means good karma should come our way. So
maybe for you for next year.
Yeah, maybe it will. So we did our good deed of the summer, winter. Why am I thinking summer there? But yeah, it was a good time though. it's always nice to go there. I think the wintertime in Frankenmuth is probably like the best time to go.
Oh, it takes the cake. Absolutely.
It does, yeah. The lights and, just the whole atmosphere looks nice. It's almost too hot in the summertime. I feel like when you go in there in the summertime,
and it takes away the whole persona that is Frankenmuth. Frankenmuth, you got to go in December or November.
Or November for Oktoberfest in the fall. The colors are really nice.
December, obviously you see the lights all year round, but December, because you're kind of trying to get in that spirit. And like me, I don't know, I'm not humbugging it this year. I'm trying not to. But it is difficult sometimes. Everybody, you hear Christmas music on the radio stations. You've heard it now for a couple weeks, and it kind of makes me sick. I can't stand listening to it this early. But December 1st, tomorrow, I can start to live with it. And then once you go to Frankenmuth, like you and I had the past couple, week, maybe it gets a little bit more tolerable. Like for me, I just don't like Christmas music.
I feel more in the spirit when I go to Frankenmuth. There's something about it.
You do. Once you see it, and I don't know, just like something is in the air.
Bronner's especially.
You see Bronner's, and maybe you just feel like a kid again, or something hits you, and you just instantly like, okay.
Well, you have a free meal, and then on top of that, you get a free Christmas ornament.
Yeah, you can't beat
for your
that.
birthday. So yeah, it all works out. But yeah, Frankenmuth is definitely. If you've never been there, you gotta check it out, especially during this time of the year. So time is running out there. All right, so moving on to sports. Speaking of the game that you attended just a couple nights ago.
Last night.
Last night, actually. Yeah, it was already last night. Red Wings, got their third win in 4 games. Yeah. And a lot of help. Like we mentioned, the power play was hot. 2 goals on the power play. Actually, I think they were actually previously 0 for 14. They broke that drought. Larkin and Mantha, the 2 young kids, leading the way.
Right? Yeah.
I'm sure, that they look good out there. I'm sure you were in person and you saw it. And
Larkin had some legs last night.
Yeah,
Larkin looked really good.
Peter Mrazek.
Mantha had glimpses where he looked really good, and then he had some other instances where he looked like he was just outmatched by some of the Dallas Stars forwards.
But Peter Mrazek, though, he was the one, like, as you said, put on the show, stood on his head, literally stopping 34 shots for their Wings. And you got to look at this now and say, all right, you've won 3 out of 4. You're moving ahead. You've beaten some decent opponents here. Dallas is a team that's been struggling as far as statistic-wise. But let's just look ahead to the next 5 games. Who do we got coming up?
You got Florida on Thursday, tomorrow. You got Pittsburgh on Saturday.
Back-to-back
which
games.
Here's your big question mark for
Jared Carew.
For Blashill and the Wings staff. Is you can't start Mrazek for both these games. Pittsburgh is obviously your defending Stanley Cup champions, and if you don't start Mrazek on Saturday, you should be fired. And you're starting Sunday against a very struggling New York Islanders team that just seems to be falling apart. 6 o'clock on Sunday. If I'm Blashill, I'm starting Coral that game. If Mrazek can't play back-to-back, which most NHL coaches will not play their starting goaltender back-to-back.
No.
And then you got next week, December 6th, you got the Winnipeg Jets.
And then on the 9th, you got a very surprising Columbus Blue Jackets team coming into town. And this is a team that is like completely out of nowhere. Nobody saw this team coming where they are. They're 12-5 right now, currently towards the top of the Western Conference, or Eastern Conference, I should say. I mean, they're handling teams easily right now. We're talking about teams like the Lightning, Tampa Bay. They've beaten now, I think, twice in 3 games.
Really struggling.
Yeah, they are. They've beaten Tampa twice in 3 games. They shut out the Flames. They beat Colorado. I mean, they are literally like playing like possessed right now, and they got great offense and great goaltending as well. So Columbus has just kind of been that surprise team. Like, wow.
I don't know his stats, but look up Sam Gagner. He's a guy that came kind of reinventing his career
with the Jackets,
and I know Scotty Hartnell's over there, and Foligno, pardon me, and you have some guys over there.
He's doing
some
good.
Guys that are coming together.
Yep.
That are starting to finally to gel on all cylinders. They had a very young team.
Yeah, Sam Gagner was a former Oiler. Also played a year or 2 with the Flyers, and he kind of swapped back and forth between the Flyers and the Phantoms in the AHL. But so far this year, in 20 games played, 8 goals, 6 assists, 14 points.
He's having one of those comeback years.
Yeah.
And I heard something on the NHL Network that he was having one of those years to look upon and say he's having one of those seasons where he's bouncing back. And he's one of the factors in why the Blue Jackets are having such a good year. Good goaltending, good back end. I'm not going to go all swing and say that this is going to be what you're going to see all season long, because you're not. Blue Jackets are going to kind of reach their level. And I think you're going to see them stay there for a little while, but come December, You're going to see them start to
They're going to get figured out,
come back a little bit to earth a little bit. I don't see them being as good as they are.
No.
I just think that they're kind of on one of those stretches right now where obviously teams start off hot and then there's always that one team. Like last year, Dallas was that team that could score 4 or 5 goals. This year, Dallas is kind of a 500 club. Yeah. Seen it yesterday. I've seen it firsthand. There's going to be those teams every single season. Columbus is going to be that. Columbus is not going to make the playoffs.
But I think there's one guy, though, that's been kind of like the catalyst to their success, and you got to go with the goaltending between the pipes and Sergei Bobrovsky. I mean, we've seen this from the past couple years from this guy. I mean, he's a guy that I can see not slowing down. You know,
I like the fact that they are relevant right now.
Yeah.
I really do. It's different. It's something to talk about in hockey. It makes it, we've seen the Blue Jackets so much when both teams were in the West. It got almost atrocious and annoying. And now you don't see them much at all. So it's not.
And we're still in the same conference.
You are. You just don't see them a whole lot. You see them, next Friday. Yeah. But after that, you don't see them for a while. Mm-hmm. But it's going to be a more competitive game. The Wings are going to walk the floor with them. So there's that.
You think, though?
No. I think the Jackets will hand the Wings a loss.
Yeah. But eventually, though, the
they
Jackets
will come to
post All-Star break. They'll probably start falling back to where they kind of fell in line because they started off the season like 1-4.
Yeah, they're awful.
And look at what they've done now. They've won like literally 10 of their past 12 games. So they're not slowing down right now, but they're playing at a rapid pace. Whereas it's like, okay, you don't want to get too far ahead of yourselves, but this is a team that is showing that they belong. But at the end of the season, it's likely going to come to an end. Is what you're saying.
It's a nice story. Like there's going to be those stories all season.
But they could stay there though. You never know.
You don't know. But
look what happened with Cleveland, the Indians. We never thought that they were going to keep up with the pace they were doing.
And you just never know.
And I think Columbus could be
the dark horse favorite to make a deep run or make a playoff run. If they make the playoffs, it'll be very much a success because the team that they have.
And who would have thought another Ohio team? My God. Just coming, really just coming right on through, just when you thought that.
I just don't think they're for real. I'm not buying in yet. Not for at least another month. Mm-hmm. I just can't do it. Yes, like Montreal's off to a great start. I'm buying in. Why is that? Because Carey Price.
Yeah.
Because Carey Price has got the best already pretty much locked up.
Montreal is going to be a tough one to try to dethrone from that top Stanley Cup pick. I mean, obviously, you got to go through the defending champs. Pittsburgh's going to be tough. You're going to have them. You're going to have Tampa Bay is going to bounce back. Tampa Bay is going to switch roles, I think, with Columbus.
It's funny when Stamkos goes down, and last year it didn't seem to really affect them.
Didn't hinder them too much, no.
But this year it seems to hit them a little bit harder. Wow. And when you got Brian Boyle, one of your veterans, coming out and saying just earlier today that we're a fun team to play against right now. That's not. He's not speaking too highly.
When you're a fun
of
team,
his mates.
Yeah. When you're a fun, when you're a fun team to play against, it means that you're easy to push around.
Yeah, that's coming from Brian Boyle.
Yeah.
So that's one of your leaders right there. So that's not. That speaks volumes, in my opinion, that a guy like Brian Boyle speaks out like that. So.
The only good thing right now going for the Red Wings is because right now teams are starting to kind of struggle. Other than the Canadians right now and the Senators, it's kind of wide open in the Atlantic because you got the Lightning. You're only 3 points behind the Lightning for third. The Bruins are struggling. Maple Leafs are kind of wishy-washy. The Panthers, from what they were last year, they're struggling. So right now, the Red Wings.
And they just fired their head coach.
Yes, exactly. And that was Gerard Gallant, who was, shockingly turned that team around. And with the Red Wings right now, winning 3 of their last 4 games, it's definitely keeping them in the hunt. I mean, I don't see anybody catching the Canadians, but the Senators are a team that
you're going to see Florida tomorrow. So there's your big test right there.
That could be 2 points, and that 2 points could put you from 7th up to 4th in the division.
Now, as excited I was last night, and I love the fact that I was wrong. It doesn't bother me one bit.
But the game was good. It was fast-paced.
The game was good. It was rough. It was rugged. Yes. It was a fun game to be at. It was Ted Lindsay at night.
It was old school hockey, the closest thing to it.
Getting the statue, just having a great time. Good seats. Didn't spend a boatload of money.
Did you drink?
No, absolutely not. I'm not buying one of those $10 beers. Are you kidding me? And those stairs are brutal for.
You pretty much stayed where you were the whole game, right?
Yes, I'm not. Yeah. Once you climb to the top of the Joe, you could getting down besides leaving. And that's my issue with the Joe is it's just that'll come later on. But anywho. The game against Dallas is you're expecting with Dallas's firepower, and yes, I do know Dallas played the night prior. Mm-hmm. Dallas did play on Tuesday. against the St. Louis Blues, and they lost in overtime. So that's a quick turnaround for Dallas. And I was looking that up, and I was like, "Ooh, yeah, Dallas is going to be burnt out come the third period." Dallas was really they did kind of burn out a little bit.
No,
you see that?
Well, they did, but it didn't show in the shots because they outshot the Red Wings 17-3 in the third period.
But the onslaught that they can throw out there on the power play, I was just looking down at when they had that 5-on-3 power play when Ott took that penalty, and I was just like, "Oh man, that is one of the best power plays that you can see in hockey." That
Dallas.
One line that Dallas can throw out there with Sagan, Ben, Sharp, Spezza.
Yes.
It's crazy.
I forgot that they got Sharp, too. I knew they had Spezza. I forgot about Sharp, too.
It's amazing.
And the fact that they're struggling right now is crazy, but they don't have goldtending.
Kerry Lettinen and Niemi are both
they're god-awful. I mean, there was a time when Niemi was a great goaltender for Chicago, but those days are gone, and then you got Lettinen, who's always been mediocre at best. If they got a solid starting goaltender, who knows where they would go.
Now, and that's the thing is Dallas has that juggernaut forwards that can just destroy you 4 or 5 goals a night.
Yep.
It's not going to happen. Goaltending is just going to be their question mark all season long. And it was last year. What cost Dallas the Stanley Cup last year? Goaltending. I really.
And it's never been an issue with the Red Wings, But I think that along with the Red Wings, the smell of success of where they've been going the last 4 games, 3 of the last 4 games anyways, you can attest it to 3 things: goaltending, special teams, and line chemistry. I think that right now,
line chemistry,
as of
even
now,
though Blashill mixes them up so much.
But he's not. The last 4 games, he's kept the lines where they are, and they've kind of gelled a little bit. You've seen Peter Mrazek have 2 terrific starts, back to back. The power play and penalty killing were outstanding the last game, and overall playing's been better. So they're making progress. The forecheck's been looking really good too. I've been looking at the forecheck. They're doing a lot better. They're hustling. One thing that they did not have in the game that we went and seen them play against Calgary which we should have won, mind you, was no hustle. They had no hustle that game. They looked like they were being overplayed.
It still is a concern though for me that I've watched a lot of hockey, not just the Red Wings. And you watch the Wings, and the physical game is improved. They're dropping the gloves. They're a lot more physical. That's not necessarily the most important thing. But the turnover rate for the Wings. And sometimes the Wings just look like they're in a daze out there.
Yes.
They look like they're just in some of these guys. And yes, I know Nielsen got an assist last night. And yes, I know Tatar was hustling
and
last
Vanek
night. And
set up.
Some of these guys for the Wings, they turn it up a little bit on certain games more than others. It seems like they don't bring their A game each and every night.
Yeah,
and I'm speaking more about Tatar and Nyquist and Nielsen. It seems like they just you're paying.
They're invisible some games. I
don't want
to
question guys out. I don't want to blame guys for the Wings' lack thereof success because the Wings are starting to play a little bit better and the lines are starting to gel a little bit. But when you give a guy like Nielsen a huge $7+ million a year contract, it's kind of, you're going to point the finger at someone.
Yeah.
Obviously, Nyquist and Tatar, you know what you're going to get. We're frustrated with them because they used to be your secondary scoring, but now they're your
when
first.
When they were playing behind Z and Datsuk.
Now they have to score.
Yes, now they're the leaders of their lines. Now you got Larkin and Nyquist, with Vanek on that third line, which has been dangerous. I feel like the return of Thomas Vanek has done wonders for this team the last 4 games because he didn't really come into his own the game that we went and saw, but
he was fresh, right off the
But now that they've paired him back up with Larkin and Nyquist, have had a few games to gel, he's presenting more of a dangerous presence for that third line. And then of course on Tuesday you got Termas Jurko back. He's got some skill in that fourth.
That was meaningless.
No, I know. And you got Steve Ott with Riley Shea, and the OMG line is not so much the OMG line anymore. So,
Drew Miller was a healthy scratch, which when I heard that last night at the game, I about wanted to clap.
Well, now they got Luke Glendening on the second line, right?
Well, Luke Glendening doesn't deserve to be on the second line.
No, that's terrible,
frankly. But that's Blashill just not knowing what to do.
It was nice though to see
players that aren't having any kind of offensive.
Steve Ott played for Dallas, right?
Yeah, Steve Ott scored the empty net last night.
And that was really nice on Vanek's part to give him the puck because he wanted to score against his former club, so that was nice to see. But there's been rumors going around that Tatar might be having a little bit of a nagging injury as he did not practice today, nor did Nick Cronwall,
Cronwall's just Cronwall's just.
I'm not going to say it's a blessing in disguise.
Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I'm not going to say it's a blessing in disguise to have Tatar not play, but he's probably been a little bit more quieter than Nyquist has this year.
The Wings are extremely beat up.
Yes.
The Wings have been decimated with injuries already.
Yeah.
But it seems like that every single season. Just wait, Zetterberg's back. Will start hurting in a couple weeks.
And this is what, and I hate it because this is exactly why we can't rely on Jimmy Howard, because now he's gone for 2 weeks with a groin injury, and this is exactly where he was last year. Exact same thing happened.
But it makes the pill a little bit easier to swallow, that fact that he's gone, that Peter Mrazek last night
stepping up
was the reason why the Wings won that game.
Yes, to step up the way he was, because he was being a scapegoat. Before they switched from Mrazek as the number one to Howard, he was the scapegoat. He was starting to let in soft goals, and he was put on the back burner. Now you're forced to roll with Peter as your number one, and he's been shining for you. So he's doing what he has to do. He's showing the Peter Mrazek of what he was doing in the World Cup.
A little bit of a scrappy attitude towards himself to Patrick Sharp last night, too.
Yeah, he did. So, and also as far as the injury bug continues, you got Marchenko who's out. He's been out with I guess an AC joint sprain, and then of course we all are waiting on the return of AA, Andreas Anthony,
which should skate again.
Yeah, he should be back within the next few days or so. So hopefully he'll only miss a couple more games, so we can get him back in there. And like the description of the show says, I mean, is this something that's going to continue long term to get excited about, or is it a blessing in disguise only to fade away?
I want to be optimistic, but this team has really been like the Tigers, up and down,
streaky, and
you got injuries, and you have probably tomorrow's going to be a loss to Florida. It seems like the Wings play the Panthers, and the Panthers show up no matter what they've been doing. They just fired Gallant.
Yeah.
Trocheck will score 2. Yager will score, and he'll
outscore,
and he'll outskate Zetterberg, and he'll outskate Larkin because he's just an old goat. And then you got the Penguins on Saturday, and of course, everybody will be stoked for that game. Penguins will wipe the floor with the Wings. It doesn't matter who's in that for the Penguins. The Islanders, at the other end of the back-to-back, they're struggling. Wings should take the game against the Islanders.
So the streak will end probably, obviously
Something just tells me the Wings struggle tomorrow against the Panthers. It seems like the Wings...
We have not been able to beat Florida teams at all. We have gone winless. We are 0-4 against Florida teams this year. Panthers twice and Tampa Bay twice. And we need to figure this out. I feel like if there's a team right now that's vulnerable, both Florida teams are vulnerable. Tampa Bay,
one who's lost their captain, one lost their coach. So
Tampa Bay is probably more in line to beat the Red Wings just because they always outplay us. But I feel like a more vulnerable team would be Florida because you just lost your head coach. They're in shambles right now in Florida. So you're also a team that is right around they're exactly the same record as you. They've, however, lost 4 of their last 5 games. So Florida is a team that's they want to show what they're made out of, but at the same time, it can't happen overnight.
That's why I'm really thinking they're going to come out firing on all cylinders, and they're going to want to show up in Detroit tomorrow against the Wings. New coach, whoever took over, I think they're just I think their GM's taking over as their coach, I do believe.
Oh, okay.
But tomorrow will be a good test for the Wings. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you're going back to your division. You're not playing Dallas, which I got to give the Wings a lot of credit. And obviously, I want to give you a thumbs up, too. For something that you've been saying the past couple weeks, is the Wings start off so slow. Last night, you got a goal by, I know it was assisted by Sagan, because I know you guys are ratting me out for that.
Yeah.
I don't know who scored it, but I know Sagan was the assist factor on that. Mm-hmm. 20 seconds into the game.
They did it for our game.
Skate up the ice.
Yes.
And boom, bang, boom.
Every game that I've gone and see.
And then you look, and everybody's like, oh, man, this is going to be a long night.
Dude, I missed the first period, and when I look back to the highlights, it was like literally a minute.
20 seconds in.
Yeah, a minute into the game, Sagan, got that point, and it was like, well, here we go again. We have been behind probably 90% of the time playing this game. I mean, we've played probably.
Wings do not start off well.
We don't score first.
And I had a feeling that with Dallas playing the night before in St. Louis, that Dallas was going to come out flying and had the legs early. But if the Wings could survive the Dallas onslaught in the first period, they would end up winning that game because Dallas would be exhausted. Because they did play a very brutal game against the St. Louis Blues the night before, and it went to overtime.
Yep.
So I thought for sure the Wings would be able to win that game after looking at some things and watching the first period and seeing how the Wings adapted to the Dallas' style of play. And then the Wings did end up winning. But it was very, very interesting. And the fight with the X-Men and Roussel, I do believe it was just
pointless. But it's like they're dropping the gloves every game that they play, and which is nice to see. It's nice to see, but you got to do it at the right time though too. If you're losing the game, that's when you drop the gloves.
That was
if you're ahead,
power play. It was like 2 seconds left in the power play. I was like, what's going on? Why is Russell dropping the gloves?
But looking ahead to a Florida team, they've been banged up. They've been beat up a lot too. But their schedule is not looking very favorable. If you were to look aside from the Red Wings, they just lost in a shootout last night to Chicago. After that, they got Ottawa on the road. They got Boston on the road. They got Philadelphia on the road, and then you're at home against Pittsburgh. So the next 5 games are looking pretty daunting for Florida. Yes. So, they need to come out swinging here. They need to do what they can to try to hang in there with us. And we cannot let them score first. We cannot. We have got to be skating the first 5 minutes of the game. And we got to set the tone early, which we have not done all year. So that is something that's just basic fundamentals of hockey. Like, it doesn't take a lot.
Not a first period team.
No, they're not. And that's kind of like in the same boat as the Detroit Lions. They're not a first half team either. So they got to do something, because in this new NHL,
you have to survive the onslaught that the visitors are going to throw at you. That's the Wings' motto. Is hopefully Mrazek or Howard, whoever's in goal that night, stands on his head and can save you. And honestly, that's the whole mantra of this season, to be honest with you. I think that will be the Wings' live or die season right now, is whether Peter Mrazek or Jimmy Howard, whoever's in net, because the Wings' defense is just absolutely god-awful, that you're going to rely on Mrazek and Howard each and every single night to stop 30, 35, 40 shots. They're going to see a lot of rubber. You're going to see a lot of chances. And if both those guys are able to perform like they have been, Mrazek lately has been great, working on the rebound control. So yes, I'm going to go ahead and say yes, I'm very confident with the Wings the next couple of games because Peter Mrazek. But Peter Mrazek give up a couple goals and you rattle him a little bit, it's a concern.
That's what happened earlier this year, is that once he gave up that first and second goal, it's like he stopped playing for his team. And you can't have that. You can't give up so soon. You got
Jared Carl backing you up. It's not Jimmy Howard anymore. Yeah. So you have to...
I think in the back of Peter's mind, that's a little bit added confidence, because you know that you have a rookie goaltender that you have to kind of be on the lookout for. You don't want this guy taking your starting spot by you playing like crap.
How awful that looks. You get yanked.
My God. Yeah. Anytime you get yanked. I mean, no matter who the backup goaltender is, the fact that you're going to have some rookie scrub come in. I mean, Jared Carl's not a bad goaltender by any means. He's been called up before. Yeah, he's played, I think, a couple NHL games.
Very long time.
Yeah, he's been around the game for a while, but you don't want to have him come in to replace you. And Peter, so far, I mean, he has been pulled a couple times this year. So just keep riding the waves, man. I mean, you know that the streak's not going to continue for long, but you don't want to win 3 and then lose 4 or 5. You don't want that. You got to try to meet somewhere in the middle. You can't keep having inconsistencies happen to you, because this team will finish around the 500 mark at the end of the season, and that won't get you into the postseason. The streak will end at 25, and that's...
You close the Joe on a very sour
that
note.
will be a very somber day in Detroit if that were the case. But hey, we're still way early in the season. Mm-hmm. We got a whole freaking winter, spring, summer to left to play, so let's just keep remaining positive here for the Red Wings and go for that. All right, let's move on to some football talk. And there's been some heated and some hot discussion about this college football playoff. And as far as what the committee is doing and who they want to choose right now, it's looking like it's going to be Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, and Washington right now. That's your 4 teams right now. That is going to be standing your way. Now, right now, if there was a winner in Tuesday's college football player rankings, as far as the selection committee is concerned from last night, then it would be Michigan. Now, Michigan is number 5 right now. They're on the outside looking in. Now, even with losing that game to Ohio State and that basically play-in game against Iowa, you still have a shot, a very small percentage chance of making it in the playoff. Do they deserve to be in there? My answer is no, because of that loss to Iowa. I mean, this has been talked about on Sports Talk Radio for the last few days now.
It's just drives
the separation between Washington and Michigan right now is extremely small. I don't like this playoff format only because I feel like it makes the division or the conference championship games meaningless. Back in the day, whoever won that conference championship, in this case the Big Ten, which, in previous years it's usually been between Michigan State and Ohio State, they usually went to a BCS Bowl and played, for a shot at the national title. Now the way they have it, you have the 2 teams that are playing in the Big Ten championship, Penn State and Wisconsin, who have, either worse or the same records as Michigan, but Michigan beat both teams. One, you onslaughted them. The other team you beat by a touchdown. But then again, you got Penn State, who also beat Ohio State. Ohio State beat you. So it's so damn confusing right now. It's really...
Whoever came up with this...
It's all for ratings. It really is.
It's
because then you got a team like the Broncos. You got the row the boat here over in Western Michigan in Kalamazoo that went undefeated, went 12-0. Granted, they're in the MAC championship. They're in the MAC.
That's exactly why. They're in the MAC.
Yeah,
so
and they're not a big name.
What they do is irrelevant.
So right now, your best bet right now is if you're the committee members is to kind of just sugarcoat their season and say, hey, give them a pat on the head and say,
good job.
Good job.
Congratulations,
we'll put you,
a good year, but
we'll
you ain't
put
playing
you,
for nothing.
No, we'll put you in the Cotton Bowl as an incentive to have an undefeated season, but because you're not a big name and you're not a crowd drawer, we're going to put you there. So it's unfortunate because only so few teams win undefeated. Hell, I think in the top 25, there's only like 2 undefeated teams other than Western Michigan. Of course, you're looking at a team like Clemson that's 11-1 is beatable in my opinion. I think
beaten Bama.
I
really don't think
Alabama is a team that is just extremely, extremely unbeatable at this point. They've beaten teams that have been ranked. Hell, they've beaten 3 ranked teams this year to still remain undefeated. So right now, the 4 very best teams are in place right now. All but Alabama have 1 loss. So that doesn't require too much debate. That's arguably, you can say Alabama is going to run away at number 1. So if either Clemson or Washington slips, then the door will open up for Michigan primarily. So the only question is which Big Ten team goes through, and that's the biggest question right now. You can't have 2. You can't have Ohio State and you can't have Michigan go, even though you still have, because Ohio State beat Michigan, they're number 2, Michigan's 5, and then at numbers 7 and 9, you got Wisconsin and Penn State. So that basically means that even though whoever wins that Big Ten championship game, that doesn't put them into the playoff, and that's so redundant. That's what I don't understand about this whole playoff format is that it makes it meaningless.
This is why you're losing viewers, because if the simple-minded fan cannot diagnose what's going to happen, you don't know if your team's getting in until this, and this happen, and you actually have to look and you have to go down and say, okay, well, we need Wisconsin to lose for Michigan to get in, and we need this to happen for Michigan to get in, and oh yeah, we got a team that's undefeated just because they're a MAC team. They're not going to play because they're a MAC team, and no one cares. But the fact is, it makes fans turn away. And it makes me turn away personally.
Because I like college football. I did like college football more than I did pro because at the time it was a little bit more easier to follow, and it was just more exciting. I feel like there's nothing more exciting than college football. The bragging rights in college football, it doesn't matter if you went or graduated from a certain college. It's just that, I'm born and raised.
You either bleed blue or you bleed green here.
I'm a Michigan guy. Born and raised. I've always been Michigan, maize and blue to the day I die, and I didn't have to go to Michigan to be that way. I'm just super competitive. They're a great franchise. They're just a great team overall. They've got a good program over there. And yes, we've suffered through some pretty heartbreaking years. But what Jim Harbaugh's done is he is definitely arguably the best coach in the nation.
No, here, I'm going to throw this at you. Now, I disagree. I think the whole Harbaugh, save us, Harbaugh, the next God thing is getting stale. It's getting old. He's making some bad decisions. He lets his frustration
we saw it, and it cost us against Ohio State.
And he makes a lot of bad decisions, and he has a couple games
in crunch time.
In the clutch moments, you see him kind of unraveling a little bit. You see him losing his composure. You see him kind of falling off the wheels a little bit. And I kind of wish Chad was sitting over to my right because I know he's a huge Michigan guy,
and he could kind of touch on this a little bit further.
He could probably get into this even deeper than I have, and I would love to get his perspective on this. Is I've lost that whole love story that the khaki pants and the
now he's wearing the Woody Hayes specs
and it's just
the old school Michigan hat. I get it.
I'm kind of over the whole love affair for Jesus Harbaugh now. It's kind of just getting
until you bring home that national championship. Sit down.
Like, it's a sports world. Sports is a what have you done for me lately? What are you doing now for me? Oh, that's right. You're losing.
And everybody was in the Harbaugh favor when Michigan was 10-0, or I should say 9-0 because they went 9-1 when they lost to Iowa. But they were riding the wave. You're shutting out a team like Rutgers 78-0. You're beating teams handily in the Big Ten, and then you roll over against Iowa and you lose 17-16.
That's a game that you need. That's a game where
it was a drop-in game. It was essentially a game. It was essentially a game. It was a game that
it's a high school football game.
It was. It should have been. You were favored by almost 20 points to win that game.
Oh, that's just
and didn't I call it though weeks before that game? I said Iowa would be the only team other than Ohio State that would give Michigan a run for its money. And I didn't say we were going to lose against Iowa. I had us beaten Iowa pretty well, but I thought that there was going to be a time where Iowa was going to be a scare, and it paid off to be. Hey, it cost us evidently. It could cost us not just the Big Ten championship, but it might cost us a playoff berth. But right now,
2 questions for you.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much you believe in the Harbaugh thing anymore. I don't know if you're kind of losing your love affair with him too.
Back-to-back seasons of 10-2 seasons for Harbaugh, which is decent.
Not bad. Not a failure by any stretch of the imagination.
You're going to get a good bowl out of it.
But a lot of people in this Michigan era, in this time, with the Harbaugh era, I'm calling it, it's win out, and go deep, or you're a failure. Yeah. So I think a lot of people that bleed the blue think this is a failure. I really, truly believe that.
I think after last year, when you had the heartbreaking loss to Michigan State, and that was your only 2 losses. Your only 2 losses, I believe, were to Michigan State and Ohio State last year. I think that after last year's heartbreaking season, where you weren't really picked to go to the national championship, but this year you were. You were a high favorite to challenge Bama, to challenge Clemson. You had a lot of talent, and then of course you have a quarterback in Wilton Spate that was showing a lot of good signs.
That's my next question for you.
Is Wilton Spate the guy that...
And no, that's not even it. If the guy's at 70-80% and you're throwing him in there at probably the biggest game of the season...
And he throws 2 interceptions.
And he throws 2 picks, doesn't look good, probably not real comfortable in the pocket, probably secretly deep down hurting more than you know.
Where you go from a broken collarbone
should he really
to
be starting?
day-to-day. Yeah.
I know O'Korn's not, your...
Well, this is the thing, is before that game I told Steve, I said that if O'Korn starts, we're losing that game. We're going to lose that game by a touchdown.
But here's the thing is... Don't you think you have a better opportunity with a guy that's at least
healthy
100% than you have a guy that's like over in the sideline going,
if he
60-70%?
We'll never know. We'll never know because we saw how awfully, I don't want to say awful, but we saw how uncomfortable O'Korn was against Indiana. And, it was very shaky. We beat Indiana. It wasn't very handily, but he looked very uncomfortable in the pocket.
For that defense, though, I'm not going to try to be and argue both points, but
it was his first game this
season. You want to go with the devil that got you there. Mm-hmm. You want to go. Even though he's banged up and he's hurt, you want to play him. Just like baseball.
Were you okay with playing
You got to pitch Kershaw in 3 days rest because he's your ace.
Yeah, if he's available to play, I say play him. I mean, I think no matter what, is he 78, 85%, whatever the case may be, he's probably
better than O'Korn at his very best.
He was decently protected. I will give Michigan a little bit of props. He was rushing a few times in the pocket, but he was decently protected in that game. He didn't take many sacks. When he did, there were some hard hits they took, but other than that, it wasn't bad from a pocket standpoint. But some of his throws, like that pick six, the very first Ohio State touchdown, was god awful. It was
quite honest with you. If I was, and this is dirty, nasty stuff, but this is what I would do. This is why I can't coach. If I was their coach, I'd say, you hit him and you take his head off because he's going to be done. Mm-hmm. He's hurt as it is. You knock him down. You get a roughing. What you need to do, take a flag. But it'll be worth it because you're going to knock him out of the game.
Yeah.
Because he was not 100%, and that is a problem when you play a guy that's not 100%. Big hit to a quarterback.
You got to look also too at the whole aspect of that game is that Ohio State's kicker essentially gave it to us 2 different times, missed 2 clutch, very, very small short field goals that he missed. And when coming into that game, I think he'd only missed like 1 field goal all year. Like he was coming into that game as a clutch top of the nation kicker, and he missed 2 gimme field goals. And that right there, that was 6 points off the board. Yeah. And then, of course, we had, Spate threw the pick six, which was a big letdown. That was one that kind of got Ohio State on the board quickly. But the whole thing was the spot. Was it a first down? I don't think it was. I think he was inches short, depending on what angle you look at it. And then some more things came out about the officiating.
And I knew we were going to get into this. Mm-hmm. So I did my research and I did some looking. And
yes.
And to be quite honest, this is getting really, really old that it's discussed every single radio show.
Yeah.
And it just
the spot.
The spot that is. Okay, here's my biggest concerns: is I'm not gonna bitch and moan and cry about the result
because you can't let one thing
let that end you. Because when it came right out, I knew it. As soon as they got that first down, they announced it, game over. You can turn this off right now. And I was at the work break room. I looked away. I knew it was over. I knew absolutely it was
Even
over.
though it hadn't gone to overtime yet.
No, you know it's over.
Yep.
You know Ohio State's going to roll over because that kind of play, it never goes in your favor. You know your player's shut down because you know
Barrett, you couldn't contain Barrett. You no matter how much that sumbitch has run over you now 3 straight years in a row, and you can't contain that guy. Now he wasn't good in the passing game. His passing game was pretty damn bad. I think his quarterback rating was like somewhere in like the 70s, but he didn't have a touchdown, I don't think, that game. I think he threw a pick, and I think he threw only for like 160 yards. Barrett didn't look good in the passing route, but he was running.
He didn't look good, but he looked good when he needed
on
to
the
be.
ground.
So here's my biggest concern with the spot, and I'm not going to touch on this I'm not going to go on a big rant here and be, barfing out the mouth here. The biggest concern I have with this is it's going to decide the game. It's the biggest player of the game. It's the season, essentially, for both teams. And you go in there, you put on your little headset, and you're already walking away, and you already know it's a first down. It took them maybe 5-6 seconds.
Oh yeah,
for an instant replay. That's my biggest beef with this is the fact that
they
took so quick,
and they didn't bring the chains out either.
It was just so quick. It was just like, yep, first down, yep. Don't even look at it. Don't look at it in different angles. Don't go to a commercial break.
And that's why then, with some further digging and investigating, that officiating crew from that game were majorly Ohio State fans. It's been open, and there was also 2 guys on that crew that were fired from several years ago from bad officiating, and yet they were still in that game. They were on an NFL officiating crew.
And why are you officiating this?
That's what I don't understand. That's what people have been trying to find out. They dug up dirt on this officiating crew, Michigan fans, of course.
Well, that's a Michigan
to try to justify their points of what happened and thinking that it was unfairly called.
It was uncouth. Yes, you can go ahead. I don't know
but
what you're
honestly,
looking for there.
You cannot let one single play justify your entire game. You basically let them walk in. You gave them the ball. You won the toss in overtime. You gave them the ball. They literally marched in on a 4-play drive. It took them literally under a minute to score a touchdown. And then you're lucky you answered back barely on 4th down with that suicide play, that suicide throw in the end zone that you barely got, which I can't believe you caught that ball, but
can't either.
The game could have been ended right there. I mean, I guess I get why they chose to defer, because you want to get last ball.
And Michigan's offense was terrible.
Yeah.
All game.
It was. It wasn't the greatest. The run game wasn't really working. Le'Veon Smith wasn't really doing what he had to do as far as the run game was concerned. J.T. Barrett ran all over you. Jabril Peppers was essentially, other than his punt returns,
barely there.
But Michigan, you got to look back. They had a 17-7 lead in this game. Late in the third quarter, they had Ohio State on the ropes, and you gave up.
You were planning the parties.
Yeah.
You were planning the after
You gave
parties.
it to them. Yeah,
you did.
And that was even with 2 missed field goals by Ohio State. So essentially, the game could have been, 17-13, but instead it's 17-7, and you're looking at, you're basically looking at a victory if you can contain them, and the defense couldn't do it. So, and now you find yourself in this predicament. And now you find yourself on the outside looking in. Now, the committee hasn't answered the Michigan versus Big Ten champion question yet. How much weight is each person on this committee given? There's some committee members that are saying that Michigan deserves a chance at that number 4 spot, that they deserve a chance. If Washington loses, Michigan should get in. Now, we know Michigan won't have the conference championship, but it will have head-to-head on both Wisconsin and Penn State, as I mentioned, and a better record against the top 25 teams. The Wolverines are 3-1. The winner of the Big Ten title game will be 2-2, regardless. And if it's about 4 very best teams, then there's the sentiment that the 2 very best teams in the Big Ten just played in Columbus, and the Big Ten championship game is a consolation prize, which takes away from that conference championship game, because I feel like it's always been a big deal in the Big Ten. Mm-hmm. Whoever wins that Big Ten championship usually goes to a BCS bowl, and that might not be the case when it comes down to Wisconsin and Penn State, because neither team, it looks like, is going to make the playoffs.
Mm-mm.
So
playoff format.
There's a lot of groundwork in Michigan's favor right now. We can at least say that. But the committee still has to make that decision. The committee still, for whom should it root for? There's also the sentiment that Michigan needs Wisconsin to beat Penn State to have the best chance. So if you're a Michigan fan and you're bitter and you want to make the playoffs because you think you deserve a shot, you're rooting for Wisconsin and you're rooting for Washington to lose. That's the only way you're going to probably get into the playoff. But I don't think they deserve to be.
Do you really want that whole thing saying, kind of like the Wings did last year? They didn't earn their way in. Ottawa saved their bacon. Do you really want to have that persona of, yep, we didn't win our way in because we lost to Ohio State?
I mean,
But
you lost
Michigan
2 of your
fans,
last 3 games. You start off the season 9-0, cruising through your schedule, and then you lose 2 of 3. So automatically, like, the committee notices that. You're ending the season on low notes. You're ending the season not at a high spectrum right now. So, I mean, if the gap between Ohio State and Penn State is that big, then the Wolverines, they would prefer probably a Penn State victory because Michigan beat Penn State 49-19. So it makes you kind of look a little bit better in that sense. And then, like I mentioned, the Wolverines beat Wisconsin 14-7. So the committee can say that the margin of victory isn't a factor all at once, but it doesn't mean that evidence is not there in the form of game tape because people know what happened. If you look back at these games, Michigan dominated Penn State, but that was early in the season. Penn State has only lost 1 game since then.
Yeah, there you go. It depends what you really look at.
Mm-hmm.
It depends really because there's certain characteristics, certain statistics that people look at a little bit deeper than others. And it just depends on the people that are deciding factors on what tickles their fancy, I guess you could say. Because if Michigan would probably, if one of those 2 teams that you mentioned earlier does get beat, Michigan will likely be in there.
Because you got to look at this right now. If you're going from a ranking standpoint, your number 1 and number 2 teams in the actual rankings is Alabama, who's no doubtably going to be playing probably in the SEC championship game.
And you got that in the bank.
Yeah, and then you got Ohio State, who's 11-1. They're not playing in a conference championship game. So it alienates things because there's a risk of leaving out the Big Ten champion that would alienate the networks and then cheapen the value of the conference game, which is what I don't like. It makes the conference championship game essentially worthless. When it's been in recent years, it's always been extremely gratifying to win that Big Ten championship and go on to a BCS bowl. But now you could just use this as an excuse for an expansion. A conference champion means a lot to a lot of people, especially here in Michigan and the Big Ten. So how many times could you say the 4 very best teams right now, I mean, and exclude a team like Michigan or Ohio State? You can't do that. I mean, just look at the 2 very best teams right now, and that's Alabama and Ohio State. One team is probably going to make it to the playoffs, and one team might not be. So I don't like this.
There's something wrong with that.
I don't like the whole setup of this because I want a conference champion to be included in the playoffs. That's the way it should be. Mm-hmm. But it won't happen that way because Ohio State garners more ratings. They're overall probably a better football team than Michigan, Penn State, and Wisconsin. But because they lost that game to Penn State, because they took Penn State for granted, that's what happens. Mm-hmm. And that's why they are where they are. They should be 12-0. Hell, Michigan could be 12-0.
If they didn't crap the bed.
Yeah, so it's a shit show and a half, man. I mean, I don't like this playoff format. I like it the old way. I like it when it was just the Big Ten and when, you could go out there and you had tiebreakers and, you faced your conference teams and you basically played for the Big Ten championship at the end of the season. And you got to go to a BCS bowl game, and that was how it was. So,
well, they try to change every
I
single
know,
sport
but right now,
the new fans.
The 2 best teams right now.
You could go on and on with this about hockey, about baseball, about NASCAR, about every sport. They've tried to make changes to make the sport more popular, to draw more and more ratings, and sometimes it backfires. College football backfires, and I'm sure in your opinion, I don't want to get into this with you, but the NASCAR point systems, I'm sure you absolutely love that.
Yep, that is totally rigged, and that's a whole nother story. We'll get into that never again.
That'll be a 3-hour show, folks.
Yeah, no thank you. But, I don't like because why even go by a ranking system? If you're going to go by this playoffs, why even have a ranking? If you're not going to go by that ranking, and you rather just have
Ohio State's good.
Or why even have conference championship games anymore if you're only going to go by the rankings in the playoff brackets? It just doesn't make sense. So my overall opinion, to close out the college football talk, we'll obviously find out by next week who will be in the Final Four playoff, who will get the Final Four playoff spots, and what bowl Michigan will be going to. Honestly, I think Michigan was probably going to be going to like either they might go to a Sugar Bowl or they might even go to the Rose Bowl or something like that. I mean, there's a chance that they might, but the Big Ten champion, that was usually their bowl game. The Big Ten champion usually would go to the Rose Bowl. Michigan State's done it 2 out of 3 years. So, I don't know, man.
It's very frustrating for fans, for radio guys, for anybody.
But it is ratings, and it's been ratings and big
obnoxious.
names. Like right now, if you were to look at one of the hottest teams right now in college football, other than Alabama, you got to look at USC. Yeah. USC has been on a tear. I mean, right now they were not looking good. They started the season off 1-3. They lost to Bama. They got crushed by Alabama in week 1, 52-6. They beat Utah State. Then they lost to Stanford and Utah. And then ever since then, they have just been killing teams right now. They've beaten teams like Arizona State, Colorado, Arizona, California, Oregon, Washington, UCLA. So, and they just beat Notre Dame on Saturday. So right now, the Trojans are looking like they would possibly be the team to play Western. They could be Western's opponent. If you put Western in the Cotton Bowl, that could be USC's opponent.
Wow.
And USC is probably going to trample all over Western.
Unfortunately.
You love Cinderella stories. That's the thing, is that Cinderella stories in sports are always nice to see. But then when it's
come up against one of these big opponents.
Yeah, but then when you find an opponent that's going to be totally outweighing you, there's no way that they're going to be able to hang in there with USC. That game would be like a 45-10 blowout, in my opinion. I really don't think.
You hope it's not, but
you don't.
Unfortunately, you don't think it will be.
But you kind of want to be a little bit more, you want to show some favoritism towards Western because of their great season. And yes, you want to reward them with a very gratifying bowl, but at the same time, you don't want to put them in there with an opponent that you know will smoke them. Mm-hmm. And if it's right now, the way it's going down, it looks like USC might be that opponent for them. So we'll see what happens there, but we always know. I mean, the Pac-12 is a loaded conference, and
you got to kind of be realistic.
Exactly. I mean, right now, when you got Alabama up there, I want to know who can beat them, because I think that the only team that can give. They're facing Florida for the freaking conference championship. Florida, they're 15th. Alabama's number 1. They're 8-3. Alabama's 12-0. So, barring a huge upset, I don't see the Gators winning this game.
No, you don't.
Right now, the only
stranger things happen, but
the only team that really gave Alabama a run for their money this year was LSU. And LSU, they got shut out 10-0, but they held them to 10 points. So
I guess that's
they have won the majority of their games. They have won by at least 3 touchdowns. They have killed teams this year.
That Nick Saban factor.
Yeah. And what's crazy is that they killed USC in week 1, like I mentioned. But you've beaten teams like Tennessee and Kentucky, Texas A&M.
But you wonder now if they were to play, because USC is a different team, and that week 1 shellacking was a wake-up call. You wonder now if they kind of clashed again, what would be the result? You might see Bama coming on top, but I can guarantee you it'd be a lot closer game.
But then you got Washington, and I want to look at the Huskies, because Washington's a team that's become relevant over the past few weeks, because I don't think a lot of people were really thinking that the Huskies were going to kind of sneak their way into this playoff, but they have, because their only loss came to USC. And you can argue now that USC is kind of going to be the reason why they make or break the playoffs, because they were going to go undefeated. They also have routed teams this entire season. So, you're looking at a Washington team that I think deserves that number 4 spot more than Michigan. Just by teams that they've beaten this year and handily winning. They face Colorado. Colorado they will face this week for the conference championship. And that could be a tough game, because that's number 9 versus number 4. Colorado's a good team. So
should be some interesting
If
football.
you're a Michigan fan, the best you can do right now is root for Colorado in this sense. But I don't think they're going to make it. No. I really don't think Michigan's going to make the playoff. But they're going to get a BCS bowl out of this, I think. I really do.
Just not the one that everybody's open.
Yeah. Moving on from college football, we got our Lions. Turkey Day victory last Thursday.
There's one optimistic side to the football.
There was one optimistic, football talk here, and you come across now you move into a game against the Saints at the Superdome, who you're not favored to beat, even though the Saints right now are struggling. They're 5-6. but you got a powerful offense. This is an offense. Drew Brees has already got 31 touchdowns this year.
Drew Brees is aging, but he still
hasn't.
Down.
He's still going to throw another 4,000-yard season for the 5th straight year. This is going to be an offensive game. I think that this is a game that's going to probably be in the high 20s. I think you're going to look at 28, 24, somewhere around them lines. I think New Orleans wins this game. I think that you can afford to give up this victory, though. I feel like
this doesn't derail your playoff.
It doesn't, but you got to also keep in the back of your mind that you got the Vikings, that you got the tiebreaker against them. You've swept the Vikings, so you got that in the back of your mind. So even if the Vikings were to tie you, let's say the Lions were to go on the rest of the season and you finish 9-7. So essentially, you're going to lose to the Saints. You're going to possibly lose to the Giants, and you're going to lose to the Cowboys. So there's your 9. You're going to beat the Bears, and you're going to beat the Packers. Let's say that's how you close up the season. Even if the Vikings were to go 9-7 and tie you, you still got that record over them. You still got the tiebreaker. And the Packers, they got a victory this past weekend. So they're back to 5-6, but I don't see the Packers catching you. I really don't. The schedule is more in favor of the Lions, really, the way you look at it down the stretch. I mean, I think that a 9-7 record will win you this division. I think that's what the Lions will finish. They have a shot at 10-6, but I really think that 9-7 is looking more and more realistic. Mm-hmm. But when you look at the Packers' schedule, even though they beat Philadelphia 27-13, they have Houston, Seattle.
Houston's a win. Seattle's a loss.
Yep, you're going to lose against Seattle. Then you got Chicago on the road, and then you got the Vikings and the Lions. Oof. So you figure they're going to beat Houston and they're going to beat Chicago, but I feel like they were going to lose to Seattle, Minnesota, and Detroit. And Aaron Rodgers thinks they can win out, but highly doubtful. You're only the only
I like
shred
his
of
optimism.
I do. I do
like
too.
A guy that's
I do
optimistic.
too. But he's not played up to that optimism either. I mean, you've gotten beat by teams that you should have beaten earlier this year. You got the floor wiped with against Tennessee and Washington. Green Bay's not going to climb out of this hole. The best that they're going to probably do is 8-8. I think Green Bay will fight to claw back and finish just behind you at 8-8. But other than that, I don't have optimism for the Packers. I feel like this is finally the year. The Lions
fall off.
Right now, this is between you and the Vikings. And now looking at the Vikings schedule, even if they were to tie you, Minnesota would literally have to win out to beat you. Because even if they tie you,
so
you got
from the way you're sounding.
Mm-hmm. I think after
you got the playoffs locked up in your mind.
I called it not last week's, but the last show. I said that if we were to beat Minnesota, the division is basically
you're getting those playoff tickets ready.
It's ours to lose. It's ours to lose because right now you're looking at a schedule right now for the Vikings. You're not beating Dallas. You got Jacksonville on the road, which could go either way. We saw what Jacksonville did to Detroit. Jacksonville's going to still be playing hungry, but you should beat Jacksonville. You're going to lose to Indianapolis. You're probably going to lose to the Packers, and then you're going to beat the Bears. So right there, the Vikings are going to finish 8-8. They're going to finish just behind you. So I think right now that if you were to you just got to keep the momentum going. You can't lose games that you're supposed to win. You can afford to lose to Dallas. You can afford to even lose against the Saints. But just keep playing smart football and
make sure Stafford doesn't get hurt.
Don't get hurt, please. But
Matthew Stafford gets hurt. This
is where I really wish Chad was on here that we can kind of bounce back and forth with because I think Chad right now, I think he would agree with me. I feel like he would agree that this is the Lions.
I'm curious if Chad.
This is their division to lose.
Season ticket holder. I know he's a Lions guy. I know he's a season ticket holder. I'm curious if he's going. I don't know if he's going to do this personally, but it's just in saying words that. If he's punching those playoff tickets yet, are you getting those playoff tickets ready?
Well, it would really, if we were to win this weekend, if we were to get the victory against the Saints, it's a done deal. I would say that it's at 8-5. I'm sorry, at 8-4 it would be. I think at 8-4 would be a very, very safe bet that you can win the division at that. I mean, even if you were to lose, 3 of the last 4 games, you're in good shape. So, I'm going to say right now that we're about 80% on our way to win the division. Mm-hmm. If we beat the Saints, that goes to about 95%. So, bearing a huge catastrophic meltdown for the Lions.
It's exciting because
it is because we have never
hosted
a playoff game here since 1991, and this is
and this is why I'm excited. I know the Lions are not going to probably win the Super Bowl, and if for some reason they're even go past the first round.
That would be huge.
Fans would be jumping
oh my God.
on the bandwagon.
If you were to go to the freaking NFC championship game, that would be huge. I mean, because you're not going to, unless you finish ahead of Seattle and you get that number 2 seed, you're not going to
playing Seattle.
Yeah, you're not going to get a number. You're the 3rd seed right now in the NFC, but you're behind the Seahawks, which you have to catch them. You're a full game behind them. You have to catch them, and only the top 2 seeds get a first round bye. Mm-hmm. So it would be nice to get that first round bye. You don't have to play a wild card team. You can just go ahead and play the divisional series, and that's it. So. Right now, I mean, it's looking like it's pretty grim that you're going to end up getting that bye, but the division is right there in your grasp. And if they lose this division at the rate they're going right now, it'll be huge.
Go SOL Lions all over again.
Oh yeah, you will.
Big time SOL.
Because I'm not saying this is going to have 2012 written all over it. I think it was either 12 or 13, the year that we had the division and the Packers came back. We lost like 4 of our last 5 games or something, and we blew the division. That's what this would feel like, but I feel like we're more in the driver's seat. The Packers are a lot more vulnerable than they were that year, even without injuries this year. Aaron Rodgers is not playing up to his full capability, and he's got a long way to go to get this Packers team playing the way they need to play to make a serious playoff push. So I have a lot of confidence in the Lions, even though they're not exactly my football team. I'm still a Packers fan, and Patriots fan, Packers.
Oh, Justin Harder and
no, I'm sorry.
Stephen Roy would love
he got my head there. No, I'm a huge Patriots fan. But my God, what about the Oakland Raiders, man? The Raiders. Could we see an AFC championship game between the Raiders and the Patriots? I mean, my God.
Crazy to think.
Who would have thought,
Not many people would think the Raiders would be as good as they are.
Holy cow. I mean, right now, the Oakland Raiders, just seeing what they've done right now and just turned this team around, they just beat the Panthers. They're 9-2 on the season. They have the second seed.
They're a playoff team.
Yes. They're second seed behind the Patriots right now. I mean, they're looking awesome. And looking at the rest of their schedule, you got the Chiefs and you got the Chargers, you got the Colts and you got the Broncos. I mean, I think they're going to probably go 12-4. I think they're going to probably win 2 and lose 2.
Playoff team. Mm-hmm. So it's exciting that you got the Lions and you got the Raiders, 2 teams that have been bottom feeders for many years.
2 surprising teams in their respective conferences, and I think that both have a very, very.
This is going way off the loop. Imagine Lions and Raiders
in the Super Bowl. Oh my! That would be ratings.
That would be awful ratings.
No, it would be.
I think people would be turning off.
No. That would be ratings because contrary to what you think, there's a lot of people that are Raiders fans out there. Raiders fans. I think Raiders fans would definitely get more hype than Lions. But Lions, dude, just the fact of how much the Lions.
It would be awesome to see a Cinderella team make it to the Super Bowl and 2
Cinderella teams. The Raiders are a team that this is their first winning season since 2002, I think, or 2003. Let's see. They played.
It's definitely been a minute.
The Raiders' last championship, they played in the 2003 AFC Championship game. So it's been since 2003, I think, since they actually had.
Back when we were in junior high, high school.
I remember when the Raiders were a decent team back then. But yeah, that was their last, looks like their last winning season. That's crazy.
Oh, wow.
Yep. 2000.
Lions and Raiders, oh my.
2003 was their last winning year. It's crazy. I feel like after that, because that was their last playoff appearance too, was 2002. So at least we have something on the Raiders. Like we've made the playoffs 2 out of the last 6 years. Raiders haven't made it since 2002. But back in the early 2000, 2001, and 2002, they had a good program. They had a good football team. So it's really it's exciting, man. It really is. I mean, if we couldn't have,
I'm going to be quite honest with you. I'm more right now. I know you're more of a college guy than pro, but I'm all about the pro right now because the Lions,
they're making you excited.
It's making you excited, and you don't want to quite give up that SOL, and you're kind of in the back
because
of your
they've let us down so many times before,
so many heartbreaks, and you're not wanting to get head over heels, and you're not wanting to punch that ticket to the playoffs just yet because you're just waiting for disappointment.
But I think it would even be even if you were to win the division, something that you haven't done since 1991. Even if you were to do that and host a playoff game and then you lose, because you're going to probably end up facing the Cowboys. You're either going to face the Cowboys or you're going to face probably Washington. I feel like the Redskins are kind of also in that playoff race. I want to just see here really quick what the current. Let's see, because the Redskins
changed
because the Redskins tied that game, so they're 6-4-1 right now. And they got the Cardinals on the road this weekend. Then they got the Panthers, or they got the Eagles. Then they got the Bears and the Giants. So right now, I feel like you're either going to be facing the Redskins or you're going to be facing you're not going to face the Cowboys that early. If you win the division, you won't face the Cowboys in the first round. You're going to face a wild card team like the Redskins. But people are saying that they would rather see the Lions lose to the Cowboys in 2 weeks and then have them beat them in a potential NFC Championship game.
Well, yeah. You take that in a minute.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I'll take the loss in the regular season to move on and win in the playoffs. Absolutely.
Because it looks like right
crazy.
now, if it were to end right now, it looks like the team that you would either face, it would either be the Giants or the Redskins would probably be the team, because the Giants have won 6 straight. They're looking unbelievable.
Eli.
I didn't even realize the 49ers are 1-10. They've lost 10 in a row. After they start off 1-0, they're 0-10.
They were a debacle from the start.
So at least each conference, you got the 49ers and you got the Browns at 0-12. Oh my goodness, the Browns. I really hope that they just go 0-16. I really do. Their chances are looking pretty good. I feel like they're going to win one.
We did discuss this.
I said this, and I feel like the one team that they will beat, I think the one team that they could beat is the Bengals. And that could happen. They're off, obviously. It's weird. They actually have a bye this week. So what a way to head into a bye week, then come back next week and you beat the Bengals at home to end it. I think that might be it.
Well, at least you're hoping that way.
Because you're not beating the Bills, you're not beating the Chargers, and you're not beating the Steelers. So your Bengals are the best chance. That's all I got to say there. But
Battle of Ohio.
Mm-hmm. But go Lions, man. It is great times to be a football fan here in Detroit. I'm pulling for them. There's no doubt about it. I love my Patriots, but the Lions are my secondary team. Obviously, It is. I mean, it makes you want to go to a game. But
balls in the air. You might want to even purchase tickets to go check out a game.
Mm-hmm. It would just do wonders.
I've never been to a game at
Ford
Field. I've never been to a Lions game at Ford Field.
You've been to other things though at Ford Field, right?
Yeah, WrestleMania.
But you've never been to like Monster Jam or none of that?
No,
I've been to Monster Jam twice.
I've been to Ford Field once.
And wow, I've been to Ford Field probably about 10 times. I've been to 3 Lions games. I've been to 2 Monster Jams. I've been to WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. I've been there for a Taylor Swift concert. I've been there for quite a few.
Bless your soul.
Yeah, I've been there for a few different things. Ford Field's a nice venue, but right now it's so good though to be a Lions fan. And if this team were to host a playoff game, it would just be hopping down there. You would think that they had just won the Super Bowl, because it's going to feel like that when you host a playoff game. It's a big deal in football. So go Lions. Our final predictions. Obviously, we don't have Chad on the line to give his prediction. We'll find that out for next week. But what are you going to say in this one? Saints. The Saints are favored by a touchdown in this game.
Saints win 31-23.
I'm going to go Saints 27-24. I think it's going to be another close.
Something fluky's going to happen.
Field goal will decide it.
I don't know. I hate to be that Michigan all over again, replay in your mind, but something fluky's going to happen in this game.
I feel like you have to contain Drew Brees in some ways. Your special teams and your cornerbacks have to come up big in this game. Your secondary big time to contain Drew Brees. Force him to throw a few picks. Force him to scramble out of the pocket, because he's not a runner. We know that, but he can deliver the ball. He can fire you a ball. I mean, the guy's averaging like 300 yards a game.
Guy's got a wicked arm.
He does. So
it's
Drew Brees is a guy you got to contain. Other than that, their running game has been so-so. Mm-hmm. Their defense ain't that great. They've let up a lot of points this year, the Saints have. Let me just take a look at the Saints real quick. Their overall schedule. I mean, right now they just beat the Rams 49-21, so they put up a ton of points there. But they lost to the Panthers 23-20, 25-23, 25-21. Yes, I mean, they're giving up an average of, it looks like 21 points a game. So
okay,
they're a team but they can score a lot of points. I mean, they're averaging 33 points a game.
Oh, there you go.
So that's something to kind of keep an eye on for us. So that's why a lot of people are thinking that if the Lions come out of the gate sluggish and they go back to playing fourth quarter football,
it won't work.
They're not going to win. They're going to get beaten badly if that's the case. But let's hope that's not. So if they do lose.
You always got Eric Partin to cheer you up later.
Yes. All right, go Lions. Moving on from that, though, we're going to conclude with some wrestling news. And how about our new women's champion on Raw, Sasha Banks? Did you happen to watch Raw? Oh,
yes.
Not a fan?
I don't like the fact that they're playing let's trade belts every week.
That's only
Sasha, Charlotte.
It's only Sasha.
Let's play tag.
Because you got Bayley, you got your girl.
Becky?
No, I'm talking about Raw. You got your big girl.
Oh, Nia Jax.
Nia Jax.
She's not competing for any titles.
She's a squasher. Because you only have, this is the make of your brand split. Because you only have 4 legit women that can.
And that's why you can't split the women.
Yes, and they really should have had one women's champion for both shows. It really should have been.
I really, truly believe that you need to have all the women on one show. Mm-hmm. But I think that would be women, and the women wouldn't be getting enough opportunities.
Would it be sexist? Oh, you divide the men up, but the women, you keep together. I don't know what you would say, but I didn't agree with that when the draft happened. I thought that having the women on 2 separate shows, because you only have 3 or 4 top women on Raw. It's Becky, Charlotte, Nia Jax.
Oh, you mean Becky's on SmackDown?
I'm sorry. You have Charlotte.
Sasha.
Yeah, you have Sasha, Charlotte, Bayley, and Nia Jax on Raw, and on SmackDown you have Becky, Alexa Bliss, Nikki Bella, and
maybe Carmella.
Yeah, those are your 4 top women. And other than that, that's all you have.
And then you got Natalya that runs around blowing a whistle.
Yeah.
And then you got Naomi doing the glow stick shit.
Who cares?
It's just.
But the way the title picture looks right now, I mean, they're doing. You've had this title that debuted on Raw in April. You've already had 6 championship reigns. You've had 3 for Charlotte, 2 for Sasha.
Do you have an issue with that, or am I just barking up the wrong tree?
No, I do. I agree with that.
I don't know.
I don't really care. I don't care. You know what? I was a big Sasha fan in the beginning, and I hated Charlotte, but now the roles are reversed. I'm a big Charlotte slappy, and I hate Sasha.
I'm starting to like Charlotte, and it's not because of the boobs either.
No, it's not.
It's the fact is
she can talk, and no, it's her look.
Charlotte's a great heel, and her moveset is just she pulls these moves out of her butt. It seems like I'm trying not to Gail.
How about them welts all over her body after that match?
She got beaten.
That was a 5-star match.
Oh my!
There's no reason why you can't put that as match of the year candidate, and I'm not talking about just for the women. I'm saying overall. That was a great overall wrestling match. It was hard. It had hardcore elements to it. Mm-hmm. The kendo sticks. I mean, she was legit crying. I think she was crying from the pain.
She's hurting a little bit.
Her welts on her back and on her arms were insane. And that somersault she did off the announcer's table, and then doing the bank statement in the crowd, basically landing on that guy's lap. Yeah, that guy's lap. And kudos to Sasha. I thought that was a pretty cool moment to have Ric Flair return and kind of,
I had a feeling something like that would
embrace Sasha and basically say screw you to his daughter because, she left him in the dust. But it just, I think that this is going to close the book, hopefully. You don't think so?
Not well,
I feel like Charlotte gets another title shot. She gets her rematch.
Charlotte will win it at the next
Roadblock.
At Roadblock, end of the line. Yeah. That's when it ends. Mm-hmm. That's when Charlotte wins.
Get it? End of the line. That's got to be it. Well, because right now I've been starting to feel like, with that feud coming to an end, we should also be seeing the feud Triple H and Seth Rollins start to kind of take shape at Roadblock, because I'm hearing that Triple H and Rollins might be gearing up for that WrestleMania match.
I think that's probably a good
idea.
Because
Goldberg and Lesnar, when that happened, they were...
Now, is that true? No, I don't mean to keep jumping ship here, but is it true that... I don't know if this is all just wrestling talk, or is Brock really hurt? Does he really have cracked ribs?
No, it's all wrestling.
I figured that it was not true.
Yeah, that's all Paul. Are you buying into Paul Heyman's
great promo?
Oh, it was.
Absolutely
unshaven, looked like he hadn't slept in days.
It was a great promo by Paul Heyman. One of the best promos.
No, that was all just Paul Heyman. You bought into Paul Heyman's promo there.
If he can get you to sell as much as we do,
and I know the reason why I'm saying this because there's nothing on No DQ about Brock being injured, so I know it's not true.
I'm sure he's not injured. I'm sure he's enjoying his time on his ranch.
Banging Sable on his ranch.
Yeah, so I'm sure Brock's looking forward to the Rumble. I'm sure the Rumble's going to be pretty good.
Well, they're both going to be in it, so it basically tells me that one of the two are going
Brock's going to eliminate Goldberg.
Well, I feel like neither one of them are going to win it because...
Oh, absolutely not. Goldberg...
They're not going to be in a championship.
Yeah, one of them will probably be number 1 and the other one will be number 2. And it'll be a big stare down and
if you're going to push them to both be in the Rumble, it's got to be 29-30. You got to have Brock at 30, Goldberg at 29.
No, don't you usually have a big return though for your number 28, 29, 30?
Not in the past few years. Unless we see Finn Balor return at number 30. And I've heard rumors that Finn Balor is ready to go. He has already been. Yes, I have heard that Finn Balor has been medically cleared to wrestle. They just need to.
Well, I know he's got his sling off, and I know. How do you know all this before I do?
Ringside News. Ringside. No DQ has been kind of hush-hush lately on Finn Balor, but I've been hearing somewhere on Ringside News that Finn Balor has actually been medically cleared to start, maybe not wrestling, but to train. Yeah, so his return would be, when we were thinking Royal Rumble was going to be too soon, it's looking more and more like Royal Rumble might be in the cards for Finn Balor to return.
Don't return him at 30 and have him lose, though. I'm sorry.
No, 30 would win. I think 30 would.
If he comes out at 30, he has to win. Yeah. And I'm not saying this.
Well, 30 I think 30's won the last 2 years, right? Because you had Batista in 2014, and then
Blue
you had
Batista coming out.
Yeah, and then you had Roman Reigns in 15, and then last year's Royal Rumble was, or no, who won it who won it last year? Do you remember? Triple H. Because he won the championship. Mm-hmm. Yep, Triple H won it.
Triple H wins it again.
Last year, it was the first time ever they actually had whoever won the Royal Rumble won the championship. This year, I don't think they're going to do that. This year, it's whoever's brand wins, you challenge for that title. So it's looking like it's going to be either a returning Finn Balor for Raw, or I'm hearing that you might have Undertaker in the Royal Rumble.
Win it and face
AJ Styles.
AJ Styles, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can live with it.
And have him beat AJ Styles at the next pay-per-view, win it, and then you would set up your match with, like we said, John Cena at WrestleMania. I'm still holding out for Taker versus Cena to be Taker's farewell match at WrestleMania next year.
If they do it all correctly, as
it
WWE
needs
never
to
does.
happen. Yeah, it all has to fall in line there. But yeah, I think that the fans want to see Taker versus Styles. I think it would be a little bit lopsided, but I think it would be a huge rub for AJ.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of AJ, let's go ahead and preview the TLC pay-per-view for this Sunday. Give our predictions, and then we can sign off the air.
Yeah, let's let me see here. TLC.
I don't know how excited you are, even if you even knew TLC was this Sunday.
No, I knew it was, but it's a SmackDown pay-per-view, though. That's the thing.
I mean, you're not expecting a whole lot, but I think the women's match between Becky and Bliss will be good, and I think Styles versus Ambrose will be good, because I think finally Ellsworth will do something relevant.
So here's your card right now. You got you got the dark match, Baron Corbin versus Kalisto in a chairs match.
No, thank you. Corbin.
Let's see here. You got Carmella versus Nikki Bella in a no DQ match. As of right now, there's only four.
Nikki.
There's only 5 matches on the card. That's how small the pay-per-view is. Intercontinental Championship, Dolph Ziggler versus The Miz in a ladder match.
That's been done 1,000 times, and it's going to be The Miz.
They are really starting to kind of let The Miz float away here. By having him continuously feud with Dolph Ziggler, nobody cares about this. You need to push either Baron Corbin or put somebody else that's worthy to put against The Miz. Because
you're going to have him face Dolph Ziggler.
Alexa Bliss versus Becky Lynch in a tables match.
I think Bliss wins that.
Yes, a tables match for the women's championship. What do you think?
Oh, Becky went through a table last night on SmackDown.
Yep. A tables match for divas is not very. It's very rare to see.
And now I'm not. This is kind of funny. I'm not at all commenting on women's weight, but I'm sorry, but it's going to take a lot to put Bliss through tables. She's like 90 pounds.
I know. She's like 5'2", 90 pounds, and she's going to need some help, or they're going to have to
Becky's going to have to jump on top of her.
They're both going to go through. Yeah.
A woman that is hurt. I'm not saying anything rude or anything to offend any of the women listeners, but she's a very small lady.
Does Alexa Bliss get her first championship?
Yes. Bliss wins.
You're going with Bliss, clean.
Yes. I think Bliss wins.
Because, I mean, they're the only 2 women that have been feuding for this championship. I mean, it's been a good feud.
It'll be a good match.
Good feud.
I think Bliss wins it, yes.
The World Heavyweight title match, TLC, Ambrose versus Styles, which it was a good ending to SmackDown. I liked them brawling at the end of it. I thought that was neat. I feel like AJ will obviously retain, but do we see the return of The Undertaker in this match?
This is what makes this so interesting.
This is where
you're thinking maybe Taker comes out and chokeslam Styles.
Because you cannot, honestly, dude, you cannot have this match end without no surprises, because you're making The Undertaker's words, that what he said before the Survivor Series, meaningless. You already said that you're not having WrestleMania define him.
Why not have him come out and screw Ambrose? It would be the complete 180, and you have him go against Ambrose.
Nobody wants to see that.
No one wants to see that either.
No.
But
if you're bringing Taker back at a TLC event,
in a way, wouldn't you think that Ambrose kind of screwed him over, because Ambrose kind of, they had the Shield reunion again?
Oh, because he was the one that almost cost SmackDown the victory.
So I mean,
he turned on SmackDown.
Kinda,
and he hasn't. And honestly, we haven't seen Shane McMahon wasn't on SmackDown this past Tuesday, was he?
Well, they were. I think they're not overseas, but they're going.
Stephanie and Shane were both absent from their shows.
They're both. I think they might have had something going on with
touring work or something. Yeah, but I feel like this is the perfect opportunity to have Taker come back, choke slam or tombstone styles. The lights go out during the match when Ambrose is. I mean, obviously. Well, that's the thing, though. You can't have Ambrose win the championship, so you would have to do it after the match is over.
Mm-hmm. After the match.
After AJ beats Ambrose, you have the gong hit, and then you have Taker appear. Either you choke slam him or you do the, I want this, I want one more run, and you put the belt on Taker.
That's the perfect way to end the pay-per-view, too.
Yeah, Taker
Makes
beating
everybody happy.
Yep, Taker beating Styles for the title. I'm totally for. I feel like Taker deserves not necessarily a run, but he deserves to have the belt on him one more time. And at least it's the WWE Championship.
And you can see that finally, I'm sure Styles would absolutely love
it. They did it with The Rock. They put it on The Rock, when he had his last run back in 13.
When he beat Punk.
Yeah. The Rock was champion, even though he wasn't really a full-time wrestler. So, I'm cool with it.
I remember that irritated Punk. I remember when he did his farewell podcast, whatever you want to call it, how he hated that.
Oh, the pipe bomb?
Losing to
to
Rock.
The Colt Cabana podcast? He didn't like that at all.
Losing to a part-time guy.
He didn't hate The Rock, but that was his whole beef, is that when they start bringing in part-time guys, like a lot of wrestlers behind the scenes were not that happy that Goldberg came back and, beat Rock the way he did.
You're working your butt off.
And the
majority of the year.
But these are guys that paved the way for you to be there. I'm sorry. Brock Lesnar puts butts in the seats. Goldberg puts butts in the seats. Undertaker puts butts in the seats. These part-time guys.
That's the biggest thing. As I guarantee
when these guys
right
retire, have at it.
This is what I'm talking about. And I'm talking about going to the show December 20th for SmackDown. Now, if they go ahead in a week or two.
Taker could be on your show.
This is exactly what I'm saying. If they announce a week prior, Undertaker live in Detroit, ticket prices will jump to $100. They're like $40 now.
That's expensive.
They will jump to probably $80 to $90.
Do you remember back when we used to get tickets for $15?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think we've ever spent more than $20 for a wrestling show.
I think we went for $35 our last show because we were both.
Oh yeah, well,
we were both struggling for money.
Yeah, because
$35 was it.
Yeah, because that was total. That was with fees and whatnot.
Because Ticketmaster's got fees.
Well,
StubHub has fees.
But I'm talking about back like when we went to shows 4 or 5 years ago when they were like $15, $20. Well, now they're up to $30, $35, $40. So $40 for a SmackDown show is a bit expensive. You almost think that Undertaker's going to be there already.
Should be.
It'd be nice. And honestly, I'd be pretty jealous of you because I've never seen Undertaker. I've never seen Undertaker live and in person.
And there's also one more match that just dawned on me. There's the new Wyatts, Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt versus Heath Slater and Rhino.
Yes, that's also going to happen.
Now, give Orton and Wyatt the title and just see what happens. Come on.
And you know what? Oddly enough, this would be Bray Wyatt's first championship in WWE. Bray Wyatt has been around WWE for 3 years, and he has not held WWE gold in any way, shape, or form. No tag team, no.
Would it be a slap in the face to him and Orton to be tag team champions?
No, why would it be? I think that'd be great. It'd be a great rub for him.
They're going to be having matches with American Alpha, with Heath Slater, with Goldust and our
That's
crew.
That's the only thing is that
because those two guys,
they belong on Raw with the tag team.
They belong in main events because they're both high caliber guys. And yes, Randy Orton's paid his time here.
I feel like having them as tag team champions will add interest to the tag team division because it's so weak. The tag team.
Why don't you have Orton and Wyatt just decimate the tag team division?
Dude, American Alpha is your only competition. Heath Slater and Rhino are jokes. I feel like I think they've ran the course with the whole Slater and Rhino gimmick. I feel like that they're
personally,
not
like you said, the whole Raw thing, that gives me a great idea. You have Orton and Wyatt and the New Day streak.
I feel like that's already being saved for the End Zone Cast.
But that is probably End Zone Cast.
End Zone Cast, I think, are going to do that.
Because they're coming up on the record, Demolition's record.
They're going to pass next week
or something like that.
After next week's Raw, it will be passed, and then I feel like I think they should probably drop it either at Royal Rumble or Roadblock. I think Royal Rumble would probably be the perfect opportunity for them to but at the same time, have you kind of been noticing a little bit of maybe heelish antics from the New Day lately? They've been getting more boos. Like whenever they bring up the whole reign, they get booed. I feel like the New Day is starting to get dry
because people were big on Demolition. That's what it is.
Were they really? Demolition?
Well, it's a big record.
Oh.
After a while, remember when Punk had his record?
But booing the New Day over Demolition, a tag team that's like way back when. I just feel like, I think people they're getting more quiet.
Getting a little stale.
You hear their reactions now? I mean, dude, they're not doing the booty thing anymore. They're dry. They've run out of, I think, ideas with the New Day.
Well, then it's time to break it up or repackage it a little bit.
I feel like, honestly, I feel like.
Why is Jericho so hot? Why is Jericho the hottest thing in WWE? Because he's just
Kevin
crazy
Owens.
different.
Yeah, because they pair him with Kevin Owens, and they invented this crazy list that got him over, or that got him more over. Jericho said this is arguably his best run in years. Like, he feels great. He was only supposed to be on, when they brought him back 7 months ago, he was only supposed to be on for like 2 months.
It's crazy how old
he is. He's now 10 months into his new, reign, or not reign, but
he's making
his
probably
run.
a boatload of money because,
he's literally had to put off making a new Fozzy album because of his run in WWE has been going good so well. Him and Vince are, I guess, on such good terms right now that he's doing a month-to-month contract. He does not have a long-term contract. He is on a month-to-month basis. So he's probably getting paid like $50,000 a month, maybe a little bit more, $100,000 a month.
Big matches or something like that.
But Kevin Owens and him are money. Mm-hmm. Even though it's making Kevin Owens' title run look a little bit weak because you have a tag team partner, best friend, what have you.
That's why
I don't
like Owens with Jericho.
Really?
I kind of want that to end.
And I feel like the best person to turn would be Jericho turning on Owens. I really do. I feel like Owens' turn on Jericho wouldn't be right because I feel like in the end it's always Jericho's about himself.
Jericho wants the title or something.
Yeah, I feel like and I think Jericho would deserve it. I wouldn't mind seeing Jericho versus Owens for the belt. If you're going to give Undertaker a belt, give Jericho one last run. He's only 42. Jericho's got some years left in him. He's in good shape.
And
he can put over guys even that are younger than he is. So Jericho, I'm all for it. I mean, I'm a fan of Jericho. I
still like Jericho.
I love his list. I love the list. I think it's a great idea. I think it caught fire. I mean, what started off as just like a pad of paper and a pen is now turned into it's made out of freaking stainless steel, and whenever it drops, it's like, oh my God, it's a human being. So I'm all about Jericho. I like it. I love how he constantly every year
and that's he
reinvents himself, and he's probably the best heel on Raw right now. So
you want to when you're going to these shows and what you're paying to see is AJ Styles come out and put on a heck of a show. You're paying to see Chris Jericho entertain you. You're paying to see AJ Styles because he's a phenomenal talent. Yep. Yes, I used his saying, but it is what it is.
Phenomenal.
Jericho entertains you. Styles can beat you in the ring. Styles is a great performer. Why does he get such big ovations? And he comes out and he's probably confused because when Styles comes out lately, he's been getting the biggest pops for SmackDown. And I think it's confusing him because he's like, I'm a heel. I'm going against Ambrose. Why are you guys going nuts?
I know.
And he looks around and he's got to say something.
Because he's good. But then you got to do what a heel does. You got to make fun of the crowd to try to get some heat, and they still don't boo you even after that. You know your money when you insult the crowd and they still cheer you. You know that there's no way around that. But
meanwhile, Roman Reigns is in the back going, what do I got to do?
Oh, the only way to get me over is putting me back with Rollins. We got to have a tag team. But speaking of Rollins, though, so as previously reported, WWE had plans to book Seth Rollins against Triple H at next year's WrestleMania. The company changed then their plans and started talking about booking the match at the Royal Rumble because they needed a big attraction match for the event. However, it looks like those Mania plans could be back on. Now, prior to Goldberg signing with WWE, the company was seeking a big attraction for the Royal Rumble that could help fill the Alamo Dome. Because it could seat, they want to fill up all 60,000 seats at the Alamo Dome. The company felt that Rollins versus Triple H could be one of the matches on that card. Now that Goldberg and Brock Lesnar are both working the 30-man Royal Rumble match, the company is going to hold off on having Triple H return for a match against Rollins, at least until WrestleMania. It's expected that the build-up for Rollins versus Triple H will kick off very soon. So you could kind of leave the Royal Rumble to the attention of Goldberg. That's going to be headlined Goldberg-Lesnar.
You know both of them won't win it. You know Lesnar and Goldberg
That's
will
what
not
sucks,
win
is
the
that
Rumble.
I hope to God they don't do 29-30. They better be somewhere in the middle. It'd be nice if they start. I mean, if they start off the Rumble, that'd be kind of neat because it's. But
the stare down for a second.
But how long can they really go? You know,
it would be.
You know, neither one of them would win because they can't go 30, 40 minutes in that match to survive. They can't run the gauntlet.
Well, the Rumble is a lot of sitting, like a lot of resting in the corner.
Well, we saw it happen before. Guys have actually not eliminated themselves, but they go over the bottom rope and they sit out for the match. Like, I think CM Punk did it.
That could be something that Lesnar does.
Yeah, Lesnar could just like not eliminate himself, but they could go out and fight in the crowd and then both come back later on and be a part of the Final Four. They could enter 1 and 2 and then fight in the backstage area, kind of similar to like what Stone Cold happened to him back in '99. Do something like that. But I'm not even going to watch TLC on Sunday. I'll probably catch it later on. I only care about the 2 matches, women's championship and the actual
Those
TLC
2 matches
match.
might be worth watching. Though.
Yeah.
And then I'll be excited to see Bray Wyatt get his first title.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that Bray Wyatt has never held gold in WWE.
Crazy.
Like even with the Wyatt family, because the Wyatt family never really were after him.
And if they don't win, I won't be happy at all.
Oh God, no.
They have to give
they
them
would
the titles.
the only way that Slater and Rhino would beat them is by dirty. It would have to be dirty. There's no way they can beat them clean. I just want to make sure that Bray Wyatt's never held gold in WWE. I'm pretty sure because when they brought the Wyatt family in, they weren't brought in as going after gold. You know,
they were brought in to face the Shield.
Yeah, yeah. Look at this. His last championship reign was the FCW. He won the FCW Tag Team Championship. He's never even won a singles championship in his entire career. He won the Tag Team Championship with his brother, Bo Dallas.
Unbelievable.
Yep.
That's such a waste of a
And
time.
Bo Dallas is an NXT champion.
And want to know something that's funny?
Bray Wyatt never even won.
Watch James Ellsworth win a title.
Like cruiserweight. I feel like they're going to put him in the cruiserweight championship picture soon.
Watch him win the world title.
Watch
him beat Styles.
If they don't tone down this push on James Ellsworth, the crowd's going to turn on him in an instant.
What about this situation? What if you don't see the Undertaker come out? And remember, Ellsworth has that title shot whenever he wants.
Wait, what is this? Oh yeah, that contract.
He has that title shot whenever he wants against the champion. Watch Styles win this Sunday. Styles is exhausted. Ambrose comes in. Or Ellsworth comes in, super kicks him, and wins the title.
So a Money in the Bank thing? That's the Money in the Bank deal.
He has like an open contract.
Are you sure that that's part of it? There's a championship match in that contract?
Yeah, whenever he
that.
wants. Yeah.
I do not remember that
beating Styles, yeah.
That stipulation was a part of the contract.
Yeah, whenever he wants a title shot.
They haven't really been pushing that on TV. I haven't heard that.
So watch it happen.
Oh, boy.
Watch some stupid crap happen and watch him win a title.
Zach Gowen didn't even get that for crying out loud. My God.
Zach Gowen faced Brock Lesnar and survived.
Man, got his ass kicked big time. Busted open, too. James Ellsworth, the guy can't wrestle for shit. He's just a sentimental favorite. That's all he is. But I'm not over James Ellsworth. It's comical to watch him get in the ring with guys like Styles and Ambrose. But
because Styles and Ambrose love it.
Yeah, but you can't keep this up for too long because the fans will turn on him because of the booking. They don't want to see Ellsworth every week. You got to keep him off TV a week or two to kind of let him build up his sympathy for the crowd. The crowd feeling sorry for him and stuff. So, I hope Ellsworth doesn't win a championship.
His course is running, and it's gonna get really stale quickly, and then you're gonna see. And you're going to come out there and you're expecting to get cheers and you're going to get booed out of the arena?
No, thank you.
Then what's going to happen?
I hear you. Well, on that note, I think that's pretty much it for this show. Yeah. So I guess go Alexa and go
Becky.
Styles.
I mean, what? I like both of them, but I'm a Becky Lynch fan.
Oh, I thought you were Alexa all the way.
I'm a Becky fan completely.
Dude, you're into Alexa, though.
I like Alexa, too, but yes.
Look. Becky Lynch, come on, man. That accent's going old. She's had her title reign for a few months. It's time. Don't bliss me off now.
I like Alexa Bliss. Yes.
I do too. She kind of toned down her Harley Quinn look though. She's still doing the pigtails?
Yeah.
She dyed her hair blue though.
She didn't want to be. Everybody was giving her a hard time probably on social media.
Yeah.
So she wanted to switch it up a little bit.
Yeah. Well, hopefully by next week's show we'll have Chad back in here and we'll have some happy news to report. Hopefully the Red Wings don't suck so bad. Hopefully the Lions can maybe pull out a victory against the Saints, surprise us all. And Michigan might get voted into the NCAA playoffs.
Back their way in.
Yeah, we got some stuff to talk about next week. So feel better, Chad. We miss you and can't wait for you to get back on next week. So on that note, we're going to call this one a podcast. We will see you guys next week. Take care.
Adios.